this video, I'm going to show you how to create your first bill of quantities in Lula. Right, so I'm inside of my public workspace where I've got a project that I created in one of my previous videos, which I'm going to open up by double clicking on the project. This will then launch the project workbench. And to import the bill of quantities or to create the bill of quantities, I'm going to navigate to my bill of quantities module from the navigation bar. And as you can see, I've got a blank bill of quantities. There's no items that's been created up to date. And you've got a few options for creating a bill of quantities in Lula. You can either set up a bill of quantities manually by making use of these buttons at the bottom. So you can click the plus item button to create a new bill item, or plus section to create a section in the bill of quantities. Or you can simply import an existing bill of quantities directly from Excel by making use of the import button. Alright, so seeing that most of the times you will probably receive a bill of quantities from the client in Excel, I'm going to show you how to import such a bill of quantities. Right, so I'm just going to switch over to an example bill of quantities that I've set up. So I've got a BOQ for a small single-story house with a few items inside of it. And as you can see, I've got columns for the item number, the description, the bill quantity, and the unit. And the items are pretty straightforward. We've got the foundation that we need to excavate. We've got some walls to build, some windows to install, some flooring to do, and so forth. All right, so it's a very straightforward bill of quantities that's just in one sheet, but you can have a bill of quantities that's spread over various sheets, and you can import that directly. That'll work. So Lula Build can handle complex BOQs, but for this example, I'm just going to use this basic BOQ. All right, so Lula Build will run through this Excel sheet, and it's going to import each of these line items. It's going to search for either a bill quantity or a unit. If it finds either of those two columns, then it'll assume that that line item is a priceable bill item. If it doesn't find a bill quantity or a unit, it's going to assume that it's just a comment, and it's going to pull it in as a comment. All right. So these two top lines, I'm going to actually delete because we already have column headers, so we don't really need these columns. So I'm just going to delete them before I import them. All right, and then I'm going to save this BOQ, and I'm going to switch back to Lula, and I'm going to select the import button, and we want to import this BOQ from Excel. Click upload, and you can then browse to your bill of quantities and open it. All right, so that then pulls in the full bill of quantities for us. And we now need to identify the columns to Lula Build. So above each column, there's a drop-down menu where you can choose what the column represents. All right, so this first column is the item number. So I'm going to select the item number field from the drop-down. This column is the description. This is the bill quantity. And this last column is the unit of measure. So it's the unit. Right, and I'm going to switch on the checkbox that says create new worksheets for imported bill items. This will create a calculation sheet for each bill item when it imports the BOQ. And then click next. Choose the parent section, click next again, and that will then automatically import the full bill of quantities for us. All right, so now we've got all of those items imported into Lula, and you are ready to start pricing. Okay, you can edit these items in table if you want to. So if you're not happy with the descriptions or the units or whatever, you can switch on table editing, and that will allow you to actually edit the bill items in table. Or I can switch that off, and you can edit the bill items by actually double clicking on the item, and that will then launch the so-called item editor for you, where you will be pricing the item, or where you can actually edit the item's properties from as well. Alright, so join us for our next video where we will show you how to create resources that will be necessary to price these bill items.